All right, today we're looking at lines that are parallel or perpendicular and finding what the slope is of those lines. So, when I'm looking at parallel lines, they are lines that have slopes that are the exact same. So, those lines are the same. So, no difference in the slope. The only difference you'll have is the y-intercept when you're looking at the full line itself. So, if I have a slope here of 4 over 3, that means my parallel slope would just be not an h, just a parallel. So my parallel slope would just be 4 over 3. So anytime we're looking for parallel, you're just doing the exact same thing. So you got to make sure we're able to find the slope. So if we've got something like this, we could use our slope formula, should be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which was 2 over 5. So my parallel slope would just be the same, 2 over 5. And so this is how we will write it if it asks you about what a parallel slope is. Just two lines like that is my short way of saying parallel. So a parallel slope would be 2 over 5. Then the other way we have that we would be working out to find this is to have a equation in standard form. And so with that, we'd subtract 5x from both sides. I have negative y equals negative 5x plus 4. Then I need to divide by that negative 1 to cancel those out. And so my slope would be just a positive 5. So that changes to positive, cancels that out. And that changes to a positive 5. So 5x minus 4 is what y equals. So my slope would be a parallel slope, and the slope of that actual line would just be 5. So again, same thing. Now, when we get to perpendicular, a little bit different. We are looking for slopes that are negative reciprocals. So negative means whatever the sign is. If it's a positive, we'll change it to a negative. A negative, we'll change it to a positive. Um, or you could think of it as it's the exact opposite. Or as opposite as you could possibly go from that slope. So when I'm looking at the same 4 over 3, my perpendicular slope, and that's my sign for perpendicular, kind of an upside down T, would be not just 3 over 4. So I'm going to flip this and change the sign. So it goes from a positive to a negative, and it flips to be 3 over 4. Okay, for number 2, I've got a negative 2, so we can think of that as a negative 2 over 1. So my perpendicular slope to that would be changing from a negative to a positive and flipping that over. So positive 1/2. And then for my slope of 0, so remember that is a horizontal line. Think of our Hoy-Vux. So perpendicular to that would be a vertical line. And so really just looks like our upside down T. So our slope that's going to be perpendicular to that is an undefined slope. So 0 and undefined are always going to be the exact opposite of one another. All right, looking at a couple more. For number 4, we're going to use our slope formula. 6 minus 8 over 2 minus a negative 1, which changes it to plus. So 6 minus 8 would give me negative 2. So negative 2 over 3, which means my perpendicular slope, I'm going to flip it and change the sign. So positive 3 over 2. And for my last one, changing my formula here, subtract x from both sides. And as those cancel out, I'll divide by 6, which gives me y equals, and it's a negative 1x on top. So we'll just bring the x out. It's a negative 1 over 6x plus 5. So my perpendicular slope to that, I'm going to flip that over. So it'd be 6 over 1, which is just 6. And instead of negative, it's going to be positive. So you've got some practice to do on that, but this should go pretty quickly for you. Just remembering that flipping the fraction and changing it from a negative to a positive